When I was preparing my talk on a different subject, I came across this official railway map of London and its environs from 1899, published by the Railway Clearinghouse, which is kind of a predecessor to National Rail. And I decided that I was going to do my talk on this. So here's the railway map. And it looks like a big kind of sprawling, much more like the map that I have on my wall rather than a tube map, which is really diagrammatic. So everyone just did maps that look like this up until 1933 when they invented the tube map. So 34 years after this map was made. To give you some historical context, this was right in the peak of the Sherlock Holmes era. So when Sherlock Holmes gets on a train, here he's got on a train in the first class smoking carriage with Watson. That railway network on that map is exactly the system that he would have been getting onto. So here's the central line. It's this green dotted line across the middle. It's not being built yet. It's just being constructed. So you'll see, for example, over here, Bond Street is called Davies Street because they decided to change the name and the location. One interesting thing is it ends at Bank and doesn't continue any further east, except it actually does because there's this whole stretch of track out here from Stratford, Leighton, Leytonstone, Snaresbrook, Woodford, that was a different real railway. And then sometime maybe in the 30s, it stopped being a grown-up railway and got merged onto the central line. And the very end of that line is this, which was right at the end of what was the central line until the mid-90s, got chopped off the end and it became a third kind of railway, which is the Heritage Railway. So we did this in 2016. Alan took this photo, so he's not in the picture, but he was there. Okay, so here's some stuff about bridge crossings. We've got the bridges, Southwark Bridge, London Bridge, Tower Bridge. We've got the Thames Tunnel. There's a slightly weird thing here that is the Tower Subway between the Tower of London and approximately City Hall. And that does still exist now. You can't use it though. It was for a little while, it was this really dank train that you could pay a penny to cross in. With no windows because it's just in a tunnel between two stations. People didn't really like it and it went bankrupt and it got turned into this horrible foot tunnel instead. But then Tower Bridge opened, which was free, and so everyone used Tower Bridge instead. So I've said a lot about stations changing names a bit. Here's 3 different Shoreditch stations that don't exist anymore. Bishopsgate, Goods High Level turned into the present Shoreditch station, and here they are overlaid on the modern tube map. So we've got what's now the overground coming down here and round the corner. That's Shoreditch station there. Other highlights, Mother Kelly's in a railway arch. That railway arch existed in 1899 on this tube map, is that red line. You've got Old Street over here. Mechanic Brewery was there. Okay, this is the macabre bit right by Waterloo Station, Waterloo East Station. There's the cemetery station, which was just stuck on the edge of Waterloo. That was literally a train which went from central London to Brookwood Cemetery, the national necropolis, where they were trying to get a monopoly on burying all the dead people in London. So you could get a ticket. It's a one-way coffin ticket to take your coffin, third class, not very good. And one of the 2 stations that you would have ended up at, or one of the 3 stations, was this one. So there's the platform still there. That's now a Russian Orthodox monastery out in Brookwood. DLR, my favorite. You might notice something wrong with this, that the DLR train is labeled in German. That's because all the early DLR trains couldn't go through tunnels like the Bank Tunnel when they upgraded it. So these all got sold to the city of Essen for their public transit system. But loads of the DLR, when it was built on existing infrastructure that had been abandoned over the past century or so. So what I've tried to do here was draw on the map in blue. I think I'm mostly right. Bits of this 1899 infrastructure that's now been reused for the Docklands Light Railway. That's my favorite Docklands photo. When they were building it in 1987, Island Gardens was a high level, like raised station, not an underground station. And they were testing the trains and the test failed spectacularly. Okay, so one of the things that this map has a lot of, as well as railway lines, is docks, because the docklands were really important. So what I've done is made a kind of scratch and sniff of here's all the old docks and what they are used for now. So in a second or so, we've now got London City Airport over at the east. XL's been built on this dock. They built the O2 here. Mudchute Farm, all the skyscrapers at Canary Wharf built on this dock. There's an eco park. There's a new station, Canada Water, for the Jubilee line. And this is the dock where I used to live. Okay. And then one of the things you'll see on this map all over the place is there's a lot of coal depots, there's a lot of goods yards, and there's a lot of sidings. So it used to be that you could use trains for moving goods around. In London, pretty much that's only passengers now. But this map is covered with little things like that. And the final thing I thought that was interesting on this map was it's mostly railway lines, but they are super into their detail on what the parks look like. So here's Hyde Park, Green Park, St James's Park with a satellite view as well. But they put all this detail into the park on the map that's otherwise pretty much completely empty. So the summary of that is I've talked about the central line, I've talked about the DLR, I've talked about the overground, there's City Airport, another new infrastructure, there's the necropolis, there's beautiful park stuff, mandatory Sherlock Holmes, there's that weird tower tunnel, and there's all the goods and coal that we're moving around.